Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a viewer replay. This is McA92, who is maybe even Scottish with a username like that, who knows, and this is their first time being featured on the channel. In fact, I think it's the first time I've seen any of their replays submitted just for the last patch, so maybe someone who recently found my channel, I don't know. They're in the tier 5 Swedish medium, the Strv M/42, and I don't honestly know much about this tank. I had to go and look it up because I haven't really played any of the Swedish tanks apart from the tier 8 premium MBT/tank destroyer, because it's one thing but in game it's another. So the thing that stood out to me about this tank is that the 75mm gun does 150 average damage, which is pretty crazy good for a tier 5 medium tank. That puts you not far off the damage that some of the heavy tanks do. In fact, that compares favourably to like the KV-1's 85mm. That's what, 160 average? Something like that. So that's a pretty good punch for being a tier 5 medium. The only other mediums that really do more than that are the ones that have derp guns. The downsides are that it has a bit of a long aim time, or longer aim time, although there's not that many tier 5 mediums that have good aim times especially, but for a 75mm, 2.5 seconds is it's a little on the long side. It makes snapshotting a bit harder than it would otherwise be, and it's not like the bloom is anything other than reasonably average looking either, so definitely not a snapshotter. And when you don't have a lot of armour to work with, sometimes having to sit and aim can be a bit of a dangerous exercise. But it also has less penetration, although that almost doesn't matter as much because of course premium ammo is a thing. So when you can just load some premium AP and go from 115 average pen to 144 average pen, yeah. Although as you can see here, McA doesn't really have a lot of premium. And for this matchup, certainly, there is nothing on the enemy team that the AP won't be able to deal with. So he's come up to the northwest, as you can see, and is having a final time with all of these tank destroyers and whatnot. There's a few things with him here as well. And that's good when you're in a medium tank, because when you're in a scrum like this, you want other people to be taking the focus, preferably things that have armour, because this really doesn't have a lot of armour. I think it's like 55mm at most. There's not a lot that won't be able to pen this tank, and it's not got huge amounts of health either, so you really do have to be cautious about the hits that you can take. Fortunately, that 25 TP is very well distracted, so he didn't have to worry about taking a hit in the back or anything of that nature. And with that guy knocked out, it looks like they've basically won this end of the map. It's all these tanks here that seem to be the ones that are actually doing anything. They've got a whole other cluster near the spawning. In fact, there's a Stug that's still on the spawn that I'm guessing is just currently AFK. They're just sitting in very defensive positions, including their Excelsior, their top tier heavy tank, and they're not really contributing much back there. Talking of AFK, that was a free kill. It looks like that Panzer B2 disconnected, so that was I mean, it wasn't really going to be a big threat, although the B2's gun easily could pen this, even though it's got fairly rubbish penetration. But that just leaves a couple of potentially nasty things left, including the enemy Strv 103 and the M4. But also that Su-85B, that was unpleasant. That thing also definitely punches above its weight for its tier, and the fact that they were firing APCR means maybe this was a professional Su-85B player. I don't know. It's not like that lacks for either penetration or damage. It doesn't really have any armour. It's basically made of tin foil, but it packs a pretty amazing gun for its tier. And then when you go around firing APCR on top of that, it's basically overkill. There are a couple of tier 6s that you might need APCR for, if you could even meet tier 6s in your tier 4s these days, but no. For everything else you'll meet, it's not really it's not really necessary. So just that alone makes me think, yeah, maybe a bit of a seal clubber. I initially thought that 39, the Viz 39 might be AFK as well, but no, they were just sat still very obligingly for him to aim and pop off some shots at over and over again. Now at this stage, considering the health he's got, the M4 making a push is extremely unwelcome, but they've fired once and missed on the move, and, well, they're about to fire again. And they managed to do so right into the end of his gun, because that was in fact a derp M4. If they'd hit him in the hull, he would very likely be dead right now, but instead he was in fact saved by RNGesus. With the death of the DW2 though, that leaves him as the last tank left, but with a little peek and auto-aim shot, he's able to take out the Hetzer, and that takes him to 9 kills. If you've been keeping track, you'll have noted that he's been killing the majority of the enemy team, and it's not like he hasn't been doing the damage as well. So it's him, the campers who have all finally made their way across the valley, much too late to actually take part, although somehow the Excelsior lost a lot of health as they were sitting there camping. I don't know how exactly. But as they're searching for the 103, it turns out they're not actually up in that corner, and McKay takes a little peek down into the valley to see if maybe they were here, and lo and behold, yes, and maybe they're AFK as well. Wow, so many AFK people in this game. But it turns out, no, they just kind of sat there waiting for the end to come. I don't know exactly. They were a bit unresponsive. McKay obviously wanting that Pools medal quite desperately as well, so I think he was scrabbling to get those last shots off to get that final kill. And as a quite nice thing for him, he did. And that was in fact his very first Pools medal. It was also, unsurprisingly, an ace mastery. Nearly 2,800 damage done when in a tier 5 game. He did a heck of a lot. And you can see the campers, not so much. The solid bottom third of the team, in fact more than the bottom third of the team, did 0. There were 6 people on the team that did 0 damage, including the Excelsior and the camping Stugs. So yeah, that 150 average damage came in really very useful. He had to do the damage, he had to get the kills, because there was quite a large chunk of his own team that was really not doing anything except being dead weight. So that was a heck of a game, I thought. I don't get to feature these mid and low tier tanks as often as I'd like, but it's hard to pick out the ones that aren't just people seal clubbing or people sending in good results in very strong machines like the T67. And if you only show the same overpowered tanks over and over again, that gets a bit boring. So it's nice to be able to feature something that, you know, it was good matchmaking, but was a genuinely good result that was achieved through hard work. And I mean, there was a bit of teamwork as well. It wasn't just McKay, but he was doing absolutely the lion's share in that one. And so yeah, it was just a genuinely good game, I thought. So if you thought so too, you can do all the usual things down underneath the video, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.